Just as I was preparing to go to sleep, a notification lit up my phone. It was a message from my sister Elena. "Maria, you need to see this. I wasn't sure if I should send it, but you deserve to know." Attached was a 30-second video clip. I hesitated, feeling a strange tension in my chest as I hit play. The screen flickered to life, showing my daughter Sophia sitting in Elena's living room. She held a glass of wine, her legs crossed casually, and wore an amused expression. Across from her sat Carla, Elena's daughter, and my niece. "My mom is such a joke," Sophia sighed, rolling her eyes dramatically. "Come on, she's done a lot for you," Carla replied, her voice tentative. Sophia scoffed. "Please, she's never accomplished anything in her life. Just some pathetic loser who works herself to the bone for nothing. It's embarrassing. I don't even invite friends over because of it. I mean, can you imagine? Oh yeah, my mom works at a diner and cleans houses on the side." So tragic. My stomach sank as I heard those words. Pathetic loser. Embarrassing. Never accomplished anything. I gripped my phone tightly, my knuckles turning white. Elena's voice came from behind the camera. "Sophia, that's your mother. Do you even hear yourself?" Sophia laughed. "What? She acts like some self-sacrificing hero just because she worked 2 jobs. Newsflash, parents are supposed to take care of their kids. I didn't ask for any of it. She just loves playing the martyr." The video ended, but Sophia's words echoed in my mind. I stared at the screen, feeling the weight of her words pressing down on me. This was my daughter, the child I had sacrificed everything for. 2 jobs, 15-hour days, countless nights where I came home too exhausted to even eat, just so she could have everything I never had. All for what? So she could sit in a comfortable living room, sipping wine and mocking me. I read Elena's next message. I confronted her after this. "She doesn't even feel bad, Maria. She really believes it. I didn't know if I should tell you, but I couldn't keep quiet." I swallowed hard, fighting back tears. I didn't respond. I couldn't. Instead, I set my phone down and walked to the bathroom, gripping the edge of the sink to steady myself. This wasn't just about the video, it was about everything. Sophia had always been difficult, entitled, ungrateful, and dismissive. She had grown up in a warm home, with new clothes, school trips, and never worrying about money, because I made sure of it. I took every extra shift and side gig just to ensure she never felt the struggles I did as a child. And yet, she looked at me with nothing but disdain. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, trying to calm myself. I could have screamed or confronted her that night, but that would be too easy. She needed to learn a lesson she would never forget. I stayed quiet and acted normal because by next week she would receive the ultimate surprise. The next morning, I woke up early, the weight of the video still heavy on my mind. The words "pathetic loser" and "never accomplished anything" kept replaying in my head. But I refused to let anger consume me. I needed something more. Something that would make Sophia realize the reality of her own life. I glanced at the clock. 6:15 a.m. She was still asleep. Typical for a 27-year-old still. Living under my roof, waking up at noon, and refusing to work a real job. I had made it too easy for her, but that was about to change. By the time she finally got out of bed at noon, I was already cleaning up from breakfast. She sauntered into the kitchen in her oversized sweater and pajama shorts, yawning. "Morning," she mumbled, heading straight for the fridge. "Afternoon," I corrected, placing my coffee cup in the sink. She pulled out the oat milk I had bought for her last week and poured it into the organic cereal she insisted on eating. I watched as she moved around the kitchen, completely unaware that her life was about to shift dramatically. "I need your card later," she said casually, leaning against the counter as she scrolled through her phone. "My card?" I raised an eyebrow. "Yeah. There's a sale at that boutique I like. I saw this leather jacket." "No," I said flatly. "I'm not paying for anything else for you, Sophia. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever again." Her lips parted slightly in disbelief. "Wait, what? You're joking, right?" "Do I look like I'm joking?" I replied. She laughed. Okay, seriously. What's wrong with you? Did something happen at work? That word hit me harder than she realized. You know what, Sophia? That's an interesting question. Did something happen at work? Let's see. I spent the last 20 years working tirelessly to keep this roof over our heads. I worked 2 jobs and gave you everything. And in return, I got a daughter who thinks I'm a pathetic loser. Her face paled slightly. Elena sent you the video, she said flatly. I heard everything, I confirmed. Her fingers tightened around her phone, her expression shifting between guilt and irritation. Mom, you're taking that way too seriously. I was just venting. Venting, I repeated, letting the word hang in the air. So calling me a failure, saying I'm embarrassing, telling Carla that you don't even want people to know I'm your mother, that was just harmless venting? She sighed, rubbing her temples. Look, I didn't mean it like that. I was just frustrated. Frustrated with what? I scoffed. With living rent-free? With having food on the table? With never having to worry about a single bill? She rolled her eyes. Oh my God, here we go. You always do this. You act like you're some saint because you worked hard. Newsflash, Mom. Parents are supposed to provide for their kids. You're not special. That was it. The moment I felt something inside me snap into place, not with anger, but with certainty. You're right, I said calmly. Parents are supposed to provide for their children, and I did. But guess what, Sophia? You're not a child anymore. I walked over to the kitchen drawer, pulled out a single envelope, and placed it on the table between us. What's this? She asked, staring at it. Open it, I instructed. She hesitated, then picked it up and ripped it open with a sigh. As her eyes scanned the papers inside, her face twisted in confusion. A job application? An apartment listing? She looked up at me, bewildered. Congratulations, I said, smiling. You're officially on your own. The moment hung between us, thick with disbelief. No, she said, shaking her head. No, you're not serious. I don't have any money. Not my problem, I replied. This is insane, she exclaimed, slamming the paper down. What? You're just kicking me out over some stupid video? No, Sophia. I'm kicking you out because I refuse to keep supporting someone who thinks I'm worthless. Her chest rose and fell, rapidly. For the first time in her life, she looked truly scared. But where am I supposed to go? She asked. You're 27, I said simply. Figure it out. Her bottom lip trembled slightly, but then she clenched her jaw. Fine. I don't need you anyway. I'll go live with Dad. I laughed, a deep, genuine, bitter laugh that made her flinch. Oh, Sophia, I said, shaking my head. That's the funniest thing you've ever said. Because her father, the man who had walked out on us when she was 5, the man who hadn't sent a single child support check, a single birthday card, a single "how is she doing?" In 22 years, he wasn't coming to save her. Good luck with that, I said, turning my back to her. Mom. Her voice was smaller now, softer. I paused. Can we just talk about this? She asked. I exhaled slowly, then turned to face her again. Her arrogance was gone. Her smugness, her dismissive tone. All of it had crumbled. We'll talk, I said finally, after you figure out where you're going to live. Then I walked away, leaving her standing there, staring at the first real problem in her life that I wasn't going to fix for her. Sophia sat on the couch, unmoving, staring blankly at the apartment listing I had given her. The confidence she had just minutes ago, the defiance, the entitlement, it was all crumbling right before my eyes. I didn't say another word. I simply walked into my bedroom, shut the door, and let her sit with the weight of reality for the first time in her life. There was no safety net. She was on her own. The next few days were eerily quiet. Sophia barely spoke to me. She still ate my food, slept in my house, used my Wi-Fi, but there was a shift. The first morning after our conversation, I woke up early as usual and made coffee. When I walked into the living room, I saw her on her laptop, scrolling through job postings. It was the first time I had ever seen her actively look for work. Did you sleep? I asked. She rubbed her face. Not really. That's what stress does to you, I said, sipping my coffee. Welcome to adulthood. She let out a humorless laugh but didn't say anything else. Good. Let her sit with it. I had carried her weight for far too long. Now she would finally feel what it was like to stand on her own feet. By the 5th day, Sophia was desperate. She had gone out that morning saying she had an interview at some retail store. But when she came back, she looked defeated. How did it go? I asked, setting my book down. She threw her bag onto the chair. They didn't hire me. Why not? I asked. She groaned. I don't know. They said something about me not having experience. But it's a freaking cashier job. How much experience do you need to scan a barcode? I shrugged. I guess now you understand why people work hard for their jobs. The world doesn't hand things to you, Sophia. She didn't respond. She just flopped onto the couch, staring at the ceiling. Did you check out the apartments I gave you? I asked. She scoffed. Yeah, you expect me to afford a place that costs $1,500 a month on minimum wage? Even if I get a job, it won't be enough. I crossed my arms. Maybe now you understand why I worked 2 jobs for years. She didn't say anything because she finally understood. By the 10th day, she started breaking down. She had applied to multiple jobs. Nothing. She had checked the apartment listings. Everything was too expensive. And then came the final straw. That morning, she reached into the fridge and grabbed a yogurt, the expensive kind she always demanded. She peeled the lid back, took a bite, and then I held out my hand. That'll be $3, I said. She frowned. What? 3? I repeated. That's how much it cost. If you're staying here, you're paying for your own food. She stared at me like I had lost my mind. You're charging me for yogurt? Yes, I said calmly. You're an adult. You're looking for a job. You need to understand how money works. That starts today. Her jaw clenched. This is insane. No, Sophia. What's insane is me paying for everything while you sit here, calling me a failure. What's insane is you being 27 years old and expecting me to take care of you like you're a child. Her face turned red, but she had no argument because she knew I was right. For years, she had mocked my hard work, acting like she was better than me while I provided for her. Now she knew what it felt like to struggle. She slammed the yogurt onto the counter and stormed into her room. On the 15th day, she finally cracked. I was folding laundry when I heard a knock at my door. When I opened it, she stood there, her eyes red, her lips pressed together. For a moment, she said nothing. Then, in a small voice, she asked, "Can we talk?" I gestured for her to come in, sitting on the bed while she sat in the chair across from me. I get it now, she whispered. I didn't say anything. I just let her talk. I thought I was better than you, she admitted, her voice cracking. Because I went to college, because I had friends who lived differently. But I didn't see everything you did. I didn't see how hard it was for you. I swallowed, my hands tightening in my lap. And then I couldn't even get a basic job, she continued, wiping her nose. Nobody wanted to hire me. I didn't know how expensive everything was. I didn't know how exhausting it is to worry about money every day. And the worst part is... Her voice broke. You did it alone, and I acted like you were nothing. I'm so sorry, Mom. Her shoulders shook, and for the first time in years I saw my daughter, not the spoiled, entitled version of her, but the lost, humbled young woman she had never been forced to be. I took a deep breath, then said, Do you know why your father left? She sniffled, looking up. He just didn't love us, right? I shook my head. No, Sophia. He left because he was a coward. He didn't want responsibility. He didn't want to work hard. He thought life should be easy, that people owed him things just like you did. Her lip trembled. I never wanted that for you, I continued. I worked myself to the bone so you wouldn't have to struggle. But in doing that, I made a mistake. I protected you too much from reality. Her head lowered. She understood. For the first time in her life, she truly understood. Mom, can I start over? She asked quietly. I studied her face. For once, there was no arrogance, no entitlement, just genuine regret. I exhaled, nodding. That depends. Are you ready to change? She nodded quickly. Yes, I swear. I reached for her hand, squeezing it. Then let's start over. Because real revenge is making someone change from the inside out. The morning after our conversation, something was different. For the first time in years, Sophia was up before noon. I heard the creak of her bedroom door at 7 a.m., a time she usually never acknowledged unless she had an early brunch with friends. I stayed quiet as she walked into the kitchen. She didn't immediately reach for her usual oat milk and organic cereal. Instead, she hesitated, then grabbed a loaf of bread and started making toast. A cheap, simple breakfast, a meal she never would have chosen before she realized how expensive food was. Progress. Good morning, I said, sipping my coffee. Morning, she mumbled, sliding into a chair. She didn't have her phone in her hand. She wasn't scrolling through social media, texting friends, or watching influencers flaunt their extravagant lives. She was just sitting there, present, real. I let the silence settle before asking, "What's the plan today?" She exhaled. I have an interview. I raised an eyebrow. Oh? She nodded. It's at the cafe down the street. It's just a waitress job, but it's a start. I finished for her. She nodded. I smiled slightly, watching her. Good, I said. Let me know how it goes. 3 days later, she got the job. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't high-paying, but it was hers. I knew because I watched her drag herself through the front door at the end of her first shift. Oh my God, she groaned, collapsing onto the couch, kicking off her shoes. I smirked. Rough day? She shot me a look. My feet feel like they've been stomped on by a herd of elephants. And customers, they're the worst. Some guy snapped his fingers at me like I was a dog. A woman sent back her coffee 3 times. A kid spilled juice all over my jeans. And the tips? Barely anything. Ah, I said, sipping my tea. So, working hard for little appreciation is frustrating. Her lips pressed together. Now imagine doing that for 20 years, I added. Her face softened. Mom, I'm proud of you, she said, setting her mug down. Really? I asked, raising an eyebrow. This is the first real thing you've done for yourself, and the first time you've understood what my life has been like. She sat up, rubbing her sore feet. For once, she didn't argue. A week later, her wake-up call hit even harder. She was hunched over the kitchen table, staring at the apartment listings I had given her weeks ago. But this time, she was holding a pen and calculator, actually doing the math. I don't think I can afford any of these, she admitted, looking up at me. Even with this job, I'd barely cover rent, and I'd have nothing left for food or bills. That's reality, Sophia, I said. That's why people work 2 jobs, have roommates, and sacrifice luxuries. You can't have everything handed to you and expect to live comfortably. She sighed, rubbing her temples. I don't want to live like this forever. Then do something about it, I said simply. She looked at me, eyebrows drawn. Like what? I leaned against the counter. You have a degree, Sophia, a good one. But you've been sitting around waiting for the perfect job to fall into your lap. It doesn't work that way. You need to work your way up just like everyone else. She bit her lip, staring at the table. I guess I was just scared of what? She swallowed. Failing. I didn't want to start at the bottom. I thought I was, I don't know, too good for it. There it was. The entitlement she had carried for years finally being admitted out loud. I walked over and placed a hand on hers. You're not too good to work, Sophia. No one is. You can either keep struggling or start building a real life. Your choice. She nodded. This time, she actually meant it. 2 days later, she came to me with a new plan. I applied for a job in marketing, she said. It's not my dream job, but it's an entry-level position. If I get it, I can start saving for my own place. I smiled. Finally. That's a great start, I said. I'm proud of you, Sophia. She exhaled, nodding. And I want to start paying rent, even if it's just a little. I don't want to just live off you anymore. I blinked. That was unexpected. For the first time in years, I saw it. The real Sophia. Not the spoiled, ungrateful girl who once sneered at my hard work. Not the entitled child who thought the world owed her something, but a woman who was finally growing up. Okay, I said, softly. Let's start small. You can contribute, and we'll see how things go. She nodded quickly, as if sealing a new chapter in her life. Mom, she said quietly. Yeah? Thank you for not giving up on me. I squeezed her hand. I almost did, I admitted. But I wanted you to wake up first. She swallowed, understanding exactly what I meant. And for the first time since she was a child, she hugged me first. 3 weeks after Sophia started working at the cafe, everything was different. She woke up early. She paid for her own groceries. She cooked her own meals instead of ordering. Takeout with my credit card. She even started setting aside money for rent. Not because I demanded it, but because she wanted to. She was changing, and for the first time in years, I felt hope. On a quiet Sunday evening, I was setting the table when Sophia walked into the kitchen with 2 plates in her hands. I made dinner, she said, almost shyly. I glanced at the food, simple roasted chicken and vegetables, nothing fancy. But she had never cooked a full meal before. You cooked? I asked, raising an eyebrow. She let out a small laugh. Yeah, I figured. I've been eating your food for free for 27 years. It's about time I made something for you. I smiled, setting down the utensils. Well, let's see if you inherited my cooking skills. We sat down together, and for the first time in a long time, it wasn't tense. No arguing, no resentment, no entitlement. Just a mother and daughter sharing a meal. Halfway through dinner, Sophia cleared her throat. So, I got some good news today, she said, her voice uncertain but excited. Oh? I sat down my fork, she swallowed, playing with the hem of her shirt. I got the marketing job, the one I applied for. I blinked, stunned for a moment. Then a slow, genuine smile spread across my face. Sophia, that's incredible, she exhaled, nodding. Yeah, it's not perfect. It's entry level, and the pay isn't amazing, but it's a start. And it's something I actually want to do. I could see it, the spark of ambition that had been buried under years of entitlement. I'm proud of you, I said, meaning every word. Her lips twitched into a small smile, and then she reached into her pocket and pulled out a small envelope. I wanted to give you this, she said, sliding it across the table. I hesitated before picking it up. Inside was a stack of cash, several $100s. What's this? I asked, frowning slightly. She shifted in her seat. It's my first rent payment. I know it's not much, but I wanted to contribute. I don't want to take you for granted anymore, Mom. I stared at the money, my heart swelling in a way I hadn't expected. This wasn't just about rent. This was her way of apologizing, of showing gratitude, of proving she was different now. I swallowed the lump in my throat and looked at her. You don't know how much this means to me, she nodded. I think I do. I smiled, sliding the money back, toward her. Keep it, I said softly, her brows furrowed. What? But I thought, I wanted you to grow up, Sophia. I wanted you to learn responsibility, and you have. That money. Use it for something that helps you move forward. Your own place. A savings account. Something that makes your future better. She stared at me, eyes glistening. Are you sure? She whispered. I reached for her hand and squeezed it. Yes. You've already given me what I wanted. The daughter I always knew you could be. Later that night, as I washed the dishes, I felt something shift inside me. For so many years, I had felt like a failure as a mother. I had sacrificed so much, only to raise a daughter who once saw me as a pathetic loser. But now I saw a young woman who was finally standing on her own 2 feet. Sophia walked into the kitchen, leaning against the counter. Mom? She said quietly. I never told you why I was so angry at you before, she admitted. I turned off the faucet and looked at her. Why? She took a deep breath. I wasn't really mad at you. I was mad at myself. I always felt like I was supposed to do something great with my life. like I was supposed to be successful. But when I wasn't, it was easier to blame you than admit that I was the problem. I let that sink in before nodding. I understand. She hesitated, then continued. I don't blame you anymore. I was wrong, Mom, about everything. And I hope you can forgive me. I exhaled, drying my hands. Then, without a word, I pulled her into a hug. She didn't pull away. She held on tight. I forgave you a long time ago, I whispered. I just needed you to see yourself clearly, first. A month later, Sophia found an apartment. It was small, nothing fancy, but it was hers. The day she moved out, she hugged me before she left. Thank you, Mom, she said, tears in her eyes, for everything. I love you. Sophia, I said, my voice thick with emotion, I love you too. And as she walked out the door, not out of anger, not out of resentment, but out of choice, I realized something. The best revenge isn't hurting someone back. It's making them realize how wrong they were and watching them change because of it.